What's up? I am Ross One from Rat Tees. Today I want to talk a little bit about how to stretch a vintage t-shirt without completely destroying it. I just got this really great camera on promo from 1998 for Confessions of Fire. It is on a late 90s Gildan tag. The shirt is great, but it's fitting a little bit smaller than it should. This shirt should be like 29 and a half, 30 inches long, and right now it's at about 28 inches, a little bit less from the top of the collar to the bottom hem. So I'm gonna see if I can get a little more life out of it by stretching it out so it fits a little better. I actually have another example of the same shirt here. This is on actually a little bit different later Gildan tag, but same era, and this fits a little bit more like how this t-shirt should fit from the late 90s. If I hold these side by side, you can see that the new shirt is probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches shorter than the other one I have. So I'm gonna try to stretch this shirt out, maybe give it a little bit more life. First thing I look for if I'm trying to stretch out a shirt is I check the tag, make sure it's 100% cotton. If you're not dealing with 100% cotton, if you're dealing with any kind of polyester blend, 50-50, like these old, really great late 80s, early 90s Screen Stars 50-50s, what I would do with that is just give up, because you're never gonna be able to stretch this shirt in any lasting way. They always want to return back to their original shape. That's the property of polyester. It's heartbreaking and it's the story of my life, but that's what makes finding those late 80s tees and sizes that fit if you wear an XL. That's what makes them even more special and even tougher to find. But if you got 100% cotton, you might have a chance. I'm gonna try this on. Let's see just what we're dealing with. All right, so as you can see, this shirt doesn't really fit that badly. A lot of people would probably be pretty happy with this fit, but for me, especially for a late 90s promo, I want it to be a couple inches longer. I want it to fit a little bit more like it did originally. I can already feel that this shirt has a little bit of stretch, a little bit of give in the cotton, so that's good. I'm not gonna stretch it out while it's dry. I don't want it to get wonky or misshapen or anything, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in the wash. As a general rule of thumb, I always wash all my vintage hip hop t-shirts cold, especially if there's any color to the shirt at all. I wash them cold. It's a white shirt and you're trying to get a tough stain out. I understand washing it hot. And then I never put it in the dryer. I never dry a shirt in the dryer. I always hang dry. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh, I usually wear a medium or kind of a fitted large, but I just found this great XL Sade shirt, I think I'm just gonna dry it and try to cook it down to my size. I would just ask you to reconsider and don't do that and go find that shirt in your size. I mean, obviously you can do whatever you want with your t-shirt, but just know that shrinking down XL t-shirts is a sin in the eyes of God. Anyways, let's throw this bad boy in the wash. Okay, I've got my t-shirt here. It's straight out of the wash. It's still damp. I can already feel like some give in it a little bit, but my main concern when I'm stretching out a t-shirt is the collar. Really do not want to stretch out that collar. There's nothing worse than getting a vintage tee that fits right, but the collar is all wonky because someone just tried to stretch it out by putting it on and, yanking at the bottom. So always protect the collar by grabbing underneath the collar. You can see the whole collar above my hand, and then just grab at the bottom and kind of just give it a uniform stretch. Nothing too hard. I usually do it kind of like gradually, try to get a little bit of a stretch out of it. I can already feel this stretching a lot. That 100% cotton really does stretch, especially these late 90s tees. So then I undo it, take a look. I can actually see kind of like some vertical stretch lines going through it, which is totally fine. It looks like it's stretched a little bit. I'm going to do it again, protecting the collar. The next step I usually do after this is, because it kind of gets a little bit too much of a vertical stretch, I'll just put my arms inside of the t-shirt, and this kind of stretches out the width, the pit to pit measurement as well. Give it a little bit of just almost like shaking off that stretch that you just did on it. And then I'll just kind of shake it down. Again, being really careful. You don't want, same as with the collar, you don't want to stretch out the bottom of the t-shirt, so you're not applying a lot of pressure widthwise, because you really can turn this thing into like a dress if you do that. So just be careful. Don't apply too much pressure ever. Just kind of trying to shake it out, it's almost like you're trying to shake out those years of being in the dryer. So there we go. I can already tell this shirt is much bigger. This is honestly probably all I'll need to do for this shirt to have it fitting just right. But I'll show you one more thing that I'll do if this didn't quite work, or if the shirt's just a little bit giving you a little bit of a harder time. All right, so I put the shirt on. It's still a little bit damp. It's still really easy to work with, and it actually fits me pretty much perfect now. I don't really need to do too much more to it. But if it was still fitting a little bit snug and you want to stretch it out more, again, my main concern is the collar. Do not just like yank on this shirt because it's going to yank everything. It's going to stretch out the collar. It's going to stretch in all these funky ways. It's going to stretch where you're pulling rather than like a nice uniform stretch. So if you're going to stretch it while it's on, which is actually pretty effective, I'll just like even put my chin on the collar. I just want to stabilize it so it's not going anywhere. So just kind of work really slowly around the bottom. Also, uniform fashion when you're pulling, don't go just yanking in different spots. Kind of, if you work the t-shirt slowly, you'll get the best result out of it. You also want to be careful with the back of the collar. So if you start stretching at the back, make sure you're not allowing the back collar to get pulled down because it'll stretch backwards just as much as forwards, and then you'll end up with like a scoop neck in the back, which is a disaster. After that, with this t-shirt, the best thing to do is hang it to dry. I don't hang anything on a hanger because again, too much, especially with a wet t-shirt, it's heavy, that collar can really get stretched out. So I always just hang it over a hanging rack or a drying rack, best investment you can have. And that's really it. I feel like I didn't really teach you too much because this shirt stretched so easily, but with mid-90s t-shirts through the 2000s, it really is just that easy with cotton tees. As you get back into the 80s, 70s, it's a little bit tougher. You have to be really careful with collars, and if you kind of put on a shirt and it's not really stretching and not doing it, I say don't push it too hard. The hunt continues for your size, and you can trade off or sell off that t-shirt or keep it in your archive like I do or whatever. Just to do a little side-by-side comparison, I have my old tee in the back, I have the one I just got in the front here, and as you can see, they are now identical size. So it's still a little damp, it might shrink down a tiny bit, but to be honest, I think we're good. Ross 1, wrap tees. I'm making it look easy. As always, I'll see you next time.